All right, we are live here on TikTok. Going to be talking news, going to be talking politics, waiting for people to come in. And we got a lot to talk about. We have got a lot going on with this administration. They are screwing everything up. Nothing's going right. They got the Epstein files going on. We got a government shutdown that we're up against at this point. So we have a lot to discuss, just waiting for people to jump in here on the live. We're going to be talking news, politics, and go ahead, drop anything in the comments you want to talk about. Been a while since I've done a TikTok live. Used to do them quite frequently, then my schedule got a little hectic. There's TJ, one of our great moderators. Glad to see you, TJ. So far, looks like you're the only person consistently in the room. But we are talking news, politics, waiting for more people to show up. Otherwise, I guess it'll be just me and TJ talking for a while. We got a lot going on, though, with this administration. They're failing on a daily basis. They're embarrassing themselves on a daily basis. And if it wasn't for the fact that they were in charge and that they are making all of the decisions and they are causing everything so much damage, it would be almost funny. Like if this was written as a TV show, it would have to be a comedy because that's all you could come up with. I don't know where everybody is right now. I'm not getting anybody in this live except for TJ. But here we are. TJ says Pete Hegseth is about to be really embarrassed. Yeah. He's going to be when he brings in all of those admirals and generals together. Don't entirely know what that's all about. It's a bad idea no matter what. I don't know if it's going to be a loyalty test or something like that. But it's something they could have done over a Zoom call. And when we have the technology, we might as well use it. For those of you joining in, we are talking news and politics. Very quiet out there so far for the night. Don't know why we don't have more people here in the live. I haven't done one of these in a while. Maybe that's why it's not getting pushed. I don't know. But we got Pete Hegseth calling in all the admirals and the generals and whatever that's going on. Thanks for inviting people, TJ. I appreciate it. For anybody joining in, if you have anything to discuss, news or politics-wise, drop it in the chat. We will talk about it as the comments come up. Leave the trolls to... Kate says, haven't seen you in a while. Yeah, I haven't done these for a bit. My schedule got kind of hectic there for quite a while. I was working a lot of later nights. And the nights I was free, I ended up being in on the Rational Boomer Lives. So I didn't see the point in doing a second one after I was just on one, or sometimes I couldn't get in to do my own ahead of doing his. So haven't done a lot of these. Want to start doing more as my schedule allows here in a week or two. I've got a vacation coming up. I might definitely do a couple more that week, just to get it going. Kate says, yeah, I saw you in his lives. Yeah, if Mike's going live, I usually jump in there. He typically draws a bigger crowd anyway, so I figure it gets the message out to more people. And the more people that can hear the rationale I have got behind my line of thinking and the explanations I can give on things, I figure the better. We're living in some pretty trying times. Hey, there's Jay. Kate says, what about this superintendent bull? I know a little bit about that. Apparently he is an American citizen. For those that are joining in or catching this later, they're talking about the superintendent for Des Moines Public Schools, who is an American citizen who had said no, ICE could not come into Des Moines Public Schools to do immigration enforcement. And apparently, ICE has detained him, moved him out of Des Moines. Last I heard, he is in Sioux City in a detention facility. No warrant, no due process as of yet. Has not seen a judge that I'm aware of. He's not in violation of anything immigration related, yet ICE was involved here. And prior to this administration, schools and churches and hospitals were exempt from ICE raids anyway. They weren't allowed to go in there. But this administration said, screw that, we want to go after all the people we want. And so they want to go into schools. And part of that is to terrify immigrants, keep their kids out of school, get them to leave the state, all those kind of things. If they feel like their kids aren't safe, they'll leave. Yeah, Kate says Dr. Roberts. Yeah, it's Dr. Roberts. That is his name. And Kate says, bet Kimmy is behind it. Yeah, I wouldn't surprise me if Kim Reynolds is behind it. And she's not running for re-election here in Iowa because she is that unpopular. She doesn't want to take the L next November. Now, she'll give you any BS reason, but I think ultimately that's what it is. She doesn't want to take the L. She doesn't want to lose. So, since she doesn't want to lose, she didn't want to run. Now, that's opening up Rob Sand to run for governor, the state auditor. He's the only statewide elected Democrat. And I think he's got a good chance. Kate asks, who do I support for next governor? Well, policy-wise, I haven't looked into a lot of the Democrats yet. I was going to wait till closer to the primary to see who I wanted to actually vote for. Out of the names I've seen, I think Rob Sand has the best chance as a Democrat. Just because he was the only statewide elected Democrat during this last cycle. And we have to, pay attention to the midterms. The midterms are important for not only control of Congress and putting some primaries against people up, or putting some roadblocks against Trump at the national level. You got your state level positions, which are just as important. When is the primary? Trying to remember if Iowa primary is, it's either March or June, I think. Trying to remember. I haven't actually looked. I know it's next year sometime. RJ127 says, hey, what's up, Eric? Well, hey, I think that might be Will. I think that's Will. Who snuck back here onto TikTok after getting his account banned. RJ127 says state levels are more important with the Supreme Court. Yeah, exactly. They are just as important. They are just every bit as important, because look at a place like Oklahoma. After they went red, they were middle of the road in education, somewhere in the middle. I don't remember the exact number. And then they've had like a decade, 15 years of solid Republican leadership, and now they're 50th in education. You gotta pay attention to your state level issues as well. We got a lot going on, though. Gallifrey Lives says, how long can Mike Johnson delay the swearing in of representatives? I think what he's just doing is he's only going to delay it till Monday when they are back in session. And he could say, well, we weren't there anyway, so what's the big deal? Ultimately, he can't delay it forever. And for those that are worried that he's doing anything about preventing future nominee or future elections from being sworn in, come January 3rd of 2027, this Congress doesn't exist. He would not be Speaker unless Republicans are in control. There would be a vote for a new Speaker, and then they would swear in all the members of Congress after they vote for a Speaker. Kate says, why was Chet Culver a one-term governor? He was a one-term governor because Republicans knew they couldn't beat him. They couldn't beat the Democrats. And I think Chet Culver ended up getting a position in the Obama administration, but Republicans couldn't beat Democrats. And so they went back and they dug somebody up. They ran that fossil Terry Branstad. And a lot of people, myself included, went, oh yeah, I remember him being governor. He was governor when I was a kid. Things weren't that bad when you were too young to know the difference. And people ran on the nostalgia of Terry Branstad having been governor for a long time. Well, they ran, they ran Branstad, and Branstad wins. He gets, I think he was in his second term this go round, and then he gets appointed to be ambassador to China, and then we get stuck with good old Kim Reynolds, who sucks. But we got a lot going on. You have Republicans losing their minds over this Charlie Kirk situation and all the ways they are trying to honor Charlie Kirk. It's just bizarre to me. You have Oklahoma saying they want to put a statue of Charlie Kirk on every college campus. Will says Portland is a distraction. Yeah. Him wanting to go into Portland is another distraction. He may never actually send the military. It's just another talking point. It's kind of like what he's doing with the Amelia Earhart files. Same with Hegseth meeting, Will saying is a distraction. Trucker T, what do you mean about the past two FBI directors? They mean they've both been appointed by Donald Trump. I think the last, how many have been appointed by Republicans? I don't remember the last time a Democrat appointed a director of the FBI. Most of the time they get appointed by Republicans and left in place or renominated by the Democrat. In part to avoid the claims from Republicans that always come around now, oh, you're weaponizing the DOJ. Yeah, Comey. I mean, he's going to get what, if he gets convicted on these charges, which he probably won't, they'll probably get dismissed. I won't be sad if he gets convicted because of what he did to Hillary. But, like, that should have been looked into deeper. But, of course, Merrick Garland was never going to look into any of that. Oh, Trucker T says he's going after Comey and now Ray's. Oh, he's going after Christopher Wray. Interesting. Gallifrey says he's throwing out everything and anything. Oh yeah, Donald Trump is flailing. He is throwing everything at the wall, trying to get away from the Epstein files, away from the failing economy. The fact that he hasn't stopped the wars he promised to stop, and now he's amping things up, trying to rename the War Department and talking about how he absolutely hates his enemies and all of this. Will says the Biden judge is leading toward dismissal of Comey case. Yeah, probably. I mean, and one of the things that they can point to, if Comey's got a good attorney, would be look at Donald Trump's True Social posts. This was politically motivated. Rocky says, Jesus, I'm glad you guys pay attention and translate this stuff. Yeah, I try to pay attention. I try to break it down. I try to look at what they can do, what is going on, and what's, where the limits actually are. And we've seen time and time again, the courts end up siding with what's written in the laws, what's written in the Constitution. Now, we can never guarantee that with this Supreme Court. They have said as much. Clarence Thomas has said, we want to go for more precedent. Just because something's been decided doesn't mean we have to leave it as is. And I think he needs to be looked into for potentially lying to Congress during his confirmation hearing. Gallifrey says his Tylenol speech was telling. Yeah, that whole Tylenol thing was really telling. It was another distraction. And then, of course, like the very next day, Dr. Oz had to come out and walk back what he was saying and basically take it back to the status quo. As well, what we're really saying is, if you're pregnant, don't take Tylenol without discussing it with your doctor, which is already, I think, the standard line anyway. Kate says, I don't think Repubs will care if he's in the Epstein files. Oh, they might. They might, because they are the ones getting so bent out of shape about the cover-up. They are seeing a cover-up brewing, and in part it's because they've been told for so long that Democrats are in the files. It's only going to be Democrats. And they are convinced that when those files come out, they're going to find the most horrible things about all the Democrats, Clinton and Biden and everybody on the left, all of their big boogeymen, and they're going to be justified in their hatred of liberals and Democrats. And when it comes out that people like Steve Bannon, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel are in the files, they don't know what to think. It's going to cause cracks within the MAGA movement. Will asks, are Russians helping with Trump and their excursions into Holland and Denmark? I hadn't heard about Holland. Oh, and Estonia, yeah. They're helping in a way, but really what they're doing is they are pushing on NATO. They are pushing about having to see what NATO's resolve would be and how can NATO function. One, will Donald Trump stand up and join NATO and help there? And two, can NATO function without the United States? Sarah says it has to be bad that they don't release them. Yeah. They are trying to scrub them and release them. Kate asks how much of the files will be redacted. I'm guessing quite a bit. They are going to keep them redacted. They are going to do as much as they can to protect Republican names if they can. But that's why they're so pissed about the Democrats releasing the files that they already did, around the committee and doing it like they did. Will says redacted files are an admission of guilt. In a way, the only thing that should really be redacted out of the Epstein files should be victim names and any of the actual images of the abuse that happened. Will says drones over Copenhagen airport. I hadn't looked into that. I need to I have to look into that after I get off this live. Trucker T said Russia said that NATO better not take down one of their planes or it will be an issue. They say a lot of things, but we found out Russia's basically a paper tiger. They are struggling against Ukraine, in part because we are helping them and have helped them so much. But everybody expected Ukraine to be gone in about a week and a half. And here we are 3+ years later. Ukraine is holding on, and they haven't really lost as much land as they should have to Russia, who was, I think, the third strongest army in the world at that point. And they are constantly losing. Will says Finland and Sweden can take apart the Russian army by themselves. Maybe. Although, if we know anything about history, you can't count out the Canadians. I mean, I'm pretty sure they view the Geneva Convention as a checklist. Jay says, yeah, Russia's army is a joke. It's proving to be. It's proving to be. They should have rolled through Ukraine in like a week and a half, 2 weeks maybe. And here they are. They are getting just stomped. They are far from the powerhouse they used to be. Yeah, Will said Geneva Convention came about because of the Canadians. Yeah, exactly. They created the checklist. And they're willing to add to that list, so does Russia really want that smoke? I don't think so. I think they were hoping that Ukraine would just roll over, and they didn't, and the rest of the world is pushing back. But Vladimir Putin, like Donald Trump, like Bibi Netanyahu, can't back down. If he was smart, he would come to terms, he would walk away from it and say, he would say, okay, enough, you know what, we'll go to the peace table. But he can't do that. He's got to be right, he's got to finish it, and he's got to win. Jason saw Mark Carney in the UK to meet with top business experts, I think. He looked dignified. Well, yeah, but that depends. Are you comparing him to how Donald Trump usually looks? Who looks like a joke? Trucker T says, what's your thoughts on the 5 FBI agents that were fired for kneeling for George Floyd? It's another distraction. As Trucker says, what does it say about Kash? It says a lot about Kash Patel. That they want to go with the narrative of George Floyd being a criminal of some kind. That's their whole gimmick. That's their whole point. They don't want to go with things being the truth. And the truth of the matter is, they were kneeling directly on George Floyd's neck. He was laying face down. He was helpless. There was no call for that level of violence. And his past doesn't matter about what happened. I wouldn't have cared what he was charged with before that. The minute he was face down and handcuffed, there was no call for any of it. I don't care what the charges were or what his history was. And that's what they can't seem to get past. But Republicans like to spin it and make it seem like the past is relevant in that situation. It wasn't. Now, if he was, armed and not in handcuffs and brandishing a weapon and they shot first, that's a different story. But that's not what we're talking. Jay says, Donald Trump looks like the only business he understands is what goes into his shorts. Yep, exactly. Yeah, when he talks about stuff, it makes you it makes you think about how he bankrupted all those businesses. When he says things like, well, we're going to reduce prices by 1,000%. It's ridiculous. You can't reduce anything over 100% or you're getting money back. That's basic math that you're taught in grade school. And Donald Trump is out here at 79 years old as the president of this country saying bullshit, and nobody on his side of the aisle is calling him out on it and saying, that's enough, you can't actually reduce it that far, that doesn't work. And he doesn't understand tariffs, he doesn't understand world trade. It's almost like he started these businesses with golden parachutes for himself, overvalued them, took all the money out that he could, and then let them go belly up and just scammed the whole way through. And I think if you look into it, that's exactly what he did. Oh, goodness. I mean, I remember reading a story in the 90s. And one of his companies was going bankrupt. Okay, come here. Yes, you hear a dog. Yes, yes, you hear the dog. She's being demanding. And of course, once I bring her onto camera, then she quits being demanding and asking for pets. But yeah. I remember reading this story in the 90s about how one of his companies, I think it was one of the casinos, were going out, and he ended up getting some big golden parachute. And as they were failing, he was getting consulting fees of hundreds of thousands of dollars every time he showed up to actually look over and view his own business. That was the way the contract was written. I mean, like Will said, Trump lost money on casinos. Casinos make money hand over fist, and I should know. I like to go to casinos. Up over behind me over here, I have got a display case of poker chips from the casinos I have been at, which still isn't that many, but still. Donald Trump lost money on casinos, which is almost unheard of. Jay asked what the dog's thoughts on all of this is. I think her thoughts are she leaves things in the yard that are smarter than Donald Trump. Just saying. I mean, Donald Trump is a horrible businessman. You listen to him speak, and I used to say he speaks at like a sixth grade level. I might be overvaluing that at least some, because ever since he couldn't pronounce acetaminophen, I've seen videos of kids that are much younger than sixth grade correctly pronouncing acetaminophen, and Donald Trump couldn't do it. It looked like it was the first time he'd ever seen the word. He can barely read. He's not articulate, and he wasn't articulate before he started having what appears to be evidence of mental decline. I remember reading some of his speeches going into 2016 and being like, what the hell is this guy talking about? It made no sense. And I think a lot of his supporters get caught up in the fact that he is speaking and in the idea of cheering for him, that they don't actually listen to the content of what he's saying. Kate says, remember his debates with Hillary? Yeah. She took him to the cleaners. In fact, Joe Biden took him to the cleaners. Problem was, Joe Biden had that one bad debate. Oh, I see Mike's in the chat. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and bring I think I got a trucker out there wanting to come on up. Hey, trucker.
What do you say, Eric?
Hey, what's going on? I'll bring Will up too.
I was watching football, then I got a message from TJ that you were live, so I decided to jump on.
Yeah, well, TJ started sending out the invites because for like 3 minutes, I think it was literally just TJ and myself in the room.
Well, never mind.
Yeah, there was like a few people were straggling in, and they would come in and they were gone like right away. It was just TJ. It's like, well, this is going to be either me talking to TJ for a while or something. So he sent out some invites, but
I was just going to say TJ has that effect on people.
Yeah, I got it the same way. Hey, how you guys? How you doing?
Hey, Will.
Yeah, I backdoored this place for as long as they let me stay here.
Yeah. Yeah, they're hiding my content too. They haven't hit me with the bad hammer, but none of my stuff is getting out there very far. I get like one video a day that does decent. The rest are nothing.
Welcome to the world of suppression,
Yeah.
but it is what it is.
Well,
But
if this app goes away, like a lot of creators, I'm also out on other places and YouTube and Spotify and a few others. So look for me there. Um, and if they wreck this app, well, they're doing what Elon Musk did to Twitter: buy something for a high value and then ram it into the ground. Let them waste their money.
well, did you hear that the Oracle is pissed because they had told Oracle that this was Trump told Oracle that TikTok was valued at $40 million. Was it 40 billion?
40
40
billion.
billion. And 4 billion. And then when they did the evaluation, it's 14 billion. See, don't do business with Trump. That's
Well,
dumb. He lies about everything. So,
I don't know if you guys saw my video on it, but when I was talking about the valuation, I said, um, it's like what he did and that he got fined by Letitia James in the courts for in New York. When it benefits him, he overvalues everything. But when it's gonna, uh, you know, or if it also benefits him, he'll undervalue it. So in this sale deal, saying it's not worth that much benefits him, or he thinks it benefits him. So he says it's only worth 14 billion. But if he went to sell it, it'd be worth 60 billion. Reality is somewhere in between.
Okay, so let me get this straight. Are you saying that my wife my wife texted me when Will was speaking? Are you saying that this jackass told Oracle it was worth 40 some $billion, and then it
yep.
turns out to be 14 billion?
No.
And the
What?
head of Oracle is very unhappy because that resets what they want to do with it because it's not going to be worth it. Because all the money they want to buy it for, it's not worth it. Because they have to
Well,
put all that money in resetting the algorithm and all that.
what I understood it was is that they were told it's worth 40 or whatever, but then Donald Trump and JD Vance comes out when he signs the executive order green lighting the sale, they said it was only worth 14. Now it could be just they misspoke and meant 40 and that was that, but they've repeated it a couple of times that it's worth 14. So all of the valuations that Oracle and this other group were looking at was based on that $40 billion valuation, and now they're hearing it's 14. Truth is probably closer to the 40 because I think with all of the American users on it, I think there's 140 million American users,
Let's
something like
let's be
that.
honest. In the end, it's going to be that line from Animal House. After they come back smashing the car, you effed up. You trusted us. That's what it's going to come down to in the end. I mean,
Yeah.
contractors don't have done business with Trump know this. This is weird living in a reality show. I mean, my God, he turned the White House, and I think Mike put it best: mid-century pimp. It's horrid. You seen the pictures of the Oval Office?
Yeah, it's disgusting with all that gold and
Well, did you hear about the gold though?
Tasteful gold.
It's not gold. At least according to some of the reports. Some of the reports out are that it's actually gold spray paint.
of course it is. I mean, why wouldn't it be, right?
Yeah, that it's not real gold; it's gold spray paint. And some of his big projects, like this Walk of Fame outside the Oval Office under the colonnades. Um, I guarantee you, when the Democrat comes in the next time, that's going to be gone. They're going to get rid of it. The ballroom they won't probably be able to get rid of, but I bet the Walk of Fame is going to go, and I bet they tear up the patio. I bet that gets torn up.
The Rose Club.
Yeah, the Rose Garden. Yeah, they'll probably put that back to the Rose Garden. And I know it
Yeah,
won't be the Kennedy Rose Garden anymore, but
I
you
was,
know,
I'm sorry, Will, go ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Eric, I was going to ask you this in the comments, but it was too much to text. What do you think about the $20 billion that we're giving over to Argentina?
I hadn't heard about that one actually.
Oh, you haven't?
But I'm not surprised that when it's coming from one of their
So,
projects, though. If
you
if
know
they,
what? Yeah, what's going on is that Argentina is going bankrupt. The Trump administration or regime wants to give them $20 billion to save them because that president down there is a Trump-like guy, doesn't know what he's doing. He's run the economy in the ground. Also, he convinced, like Trump, very many rich investors in the United States to invest in Argentina. And this is more or less about saving Argentina, but saving their investments. As usual, Trump using our money to cover rich people's backs. Rich man socialism again.
that sounds about right. When it comes time to save a save the banks, save the billionaires, even the Republicans and the MAGA voters in some cases seem like, oh yeah, that's okay. But when it comes time to put money out for everyday Americans, oh, we can't afford it. That's too much money. That's this, that's that.
Well, you saw what he said when he canceled the meeting because they wanted to was it useless Medicaid or Medicare or something like that. He said something that's why they wouldn't do it because they keep insisting on spending money. And then JD Vance goes, "Yeah, the reason we're shutting the government down because Democrats want to give health care to illegal aliens." Here we go again.
And transgender. They want trans everything, he said.
Oh, I did a video of this, and I'm going to say this, and I said this podcast with Mike will be out tomorrow. Is that if you notice that very rich people and societies love these ballrooms, these parties, like we saw in England with him. All
Hmm.
these, the Rose Club where the Secretary of Transportation is talking about how great it is to show up on my dime because all that food and drink come out of my motherfucking pocket. I know that for a fact. But remember this: that's what the French aristocrats did before the French Revolution. What the Russian aristocrats did before the Russian Revolution. You keep doing that and rubbing that in people's faces, and you give them nothing to lose. 2 and 2. That's all I got to say.
You know how many videos I've seen on TikTok where they're saying, let's just go to Washington? You know what I mean? A bazillion. And people are getting frustrated. You
I
know,
saw I saw a couple stats, and I don't remember the poll numbers, but the number is rising in swing states for percentage of people in one of the latest polls they did that want Donald Trump to be impeached again. Then that's bad news for Donald Trump. The other stat I saw was another poll done that says 53% of this country wants Democrats in complete control of Congress to check the power of Donald Trump. That is similar to what happened
As it should be.
with Donald Trump the first time. The poll percentage going into the midterms, like close to the midterms, was 55%. And it was a bloodbath for Republicans in that election. It is going to, if we're, what, 14 months out from the election? 13, 14 months out? And that's already almost as high as it was in 2018? That's bad news for Republicans.
And
And they're
they keep running the same thing. I mean, I'm in Georgia. John Ossoff is up for re-election here in Georgia, and his main opponent is a MAGA guy called Buddy Carter. And I've seen the advertising already for Buddy Carter. He is ridiculous. He's total MAGA. He's selling the transgender. He's saying, yeah, I mean, we're going to protect the border. He even brought up Lincoln Riley in one of his advertising. And I'm going, dude, you don't know what? John Ossoff is going to eat him for lunch. It's not
yeah.
even going to be close.
but Will, let me
I
ask
want
you
to
a
address
question.
something JD just asked in the comments. Are supermajorities within reach? Um,
Probably
possibly in the
not.
House. Possibly in the House. And I only say that because every seat in the House is up for election every 2 years. And with the number of Republicans that are jumping ship and not running, and with as bad as things are getting, you never know what could happen in the House. The math isn't there for us to get a supermajority in the Senate. But if we take the majority in the Senate this term, the math is better to lead us toward a supermajority in 28 with how favorable the map is for Democrats in 28. So maybe,
So,
but
Eric,
not
let me ask you this. Have you noticed? Okay, so Will just brought up a really good point about that Bo Wagner guy with, full MAGA. I've noticed a huge decline in that hard MAGA speech, the border, the this, the that. They're just not talking about that anymore. You know what I mean? Because it feels like they wanted that, and now they're seeing it playing out, and they're in front of their faces, and they're like, "Whoa, wait a minute, that's not what I wanted."
right. I think you're exactly right. They had these carrots that have been dangled in front of them for so long, even when Republicans had been in control before. Well, we got to secure the border. We got to do this on the border. We got to do that. And they could never get it. So they could always think that, oh, yeah, that's got to be the solution because the other side's so vehemently against it. And that's just not what the case is here. Um, Now that they are seeing the results of their own policies, they're going, fuck, we don't know what we're talking about.
Exactly.
Some of the MAGA
Yeah.
people, uh,
Quick question to you, Eric, because you live in a farm state.
yes,
Iowa's known for farms, and they're suffering too because no corn, soybeans. Trump's going to bail them out, supposedly. Are you believing that? I mean, are farmers buying that to keep with Trump?
not that I've heard yet, but if they do get a bailout, um, they will they will side with them, I believe. Some of them will, at least, because it means their immediate problem was fixed. But I did a video on this, and again, with TikTok hiding my content, I don't know how many people are seeing it. A few days ago, maybe last week, I don't know. Our Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, was in Kansas City to announce what they were going to do for farmers. And they said they were doing an American First aid package uh, for foreign countries, like foreign aid, effectively what USAID was, but calling it America First. And they were going to buy the food
Are
from
you?
American farmers. And they were going to
Which
buy,
they were
like,
doing before. Oh,
well, but they were going to buy like 417,000 tons of food. Okay? Sounds like a lot. Last year under Biden, USAID bought 1.1 million tons of food from farmers.
isn't that the amount they burned in Dubai?
Something like
Because
that.
they wanted, yeah, it's that same amount that they're buying. They burned that in Dubai, even
Yeah.
though it was destined to go out.
Yeah. It was
I
already,
mean, these people.
but by calling it US First and renaming it, Donald Trump can say, well, I got rid of that corrupt USAID. And now they come out with this America First humanitarian thing. Well, we're buying from American farmers, and uh, it's great. We're doing everything from with our interests first, even though we're helping other people. They're rebranding things that already existed, and we're doing things that way. Donald Trump doesn't create anything. He doesn't come up with any new ideas. He rebrands, and that's what he's doing.
Exactly. So is that why farmers are having to sell everything they have? You've got farmers unaliving themselves now. I mean, they're in foreclosure, they're in bankruptcy. It's too late at this point. Even if they do give them
But
subsidies, what is it going to matter?
yeah, but I'm going to lay this out because someone made a good comment about this, talking about like rural Oregon and all that. And I want to put this out because I saw a video of Tim Lee in the Bulwark. Now, the Bulwark is a conservative rag, and Tim Lee turned on conservatism and Trump because it's Trump. But he was out there crying. Tim Miller, I'm sorry, Tim Miller. He was out there crying about the demise of the democracy, and he was feeling so put out. And I'm getting pissed because, dude, no offense to you, Eric, but you're a privileged white guy. What are you worried about? I'm a Latino. I worry about stepping out my door half the time. And he's crying about this. He doesn't even bring up ICE. But one person made a point in the comments. The reason farmers gave up are still willing to vote for Trump because they hate more than anything. Because Miller wants us to reach across the Alabama and say, it's okay, we forgive you. Fuck that. Because they still hate. He'll throw them a check and they'll still go, okay, he got rid of them brown people, we're happy. I mean, there is no middle ground
I
with
think
these
some of
people.
them will, not all of them. Because people are waking up now. You know what I mean? Speaking of that, Eric, let me ask you this, because you're in Iowa. You've got a first-hand seat to this. You know where I'm going. The superintendent, what the hell is that all about?
I talked about that at the very beginning of this live just a little bit. I don't know all the details. It's one of the reasons I haven't done a full video on it yet. Um, but so the superintendent of Des Moines Public Schools, Dr. It was in the comments earlier. I can't think of his name. Anyway, he is an American citizen. He told ICE he's not going to open the doors and let them into Des Moines Public Schools to do immigration enforcement. And he was detained by ICE. And last I had heard, he was taken out of Des Moines. He is now in Sioux City at a detention facility. Gallifrey Live says Ian Roberts. Yeah, it's Dr. Ian Roberts.
So under what pretense
I
are
don't
they
know.
holding
The
him?
pretense is, I read it, the pretense is they found some old weapons charge back in 2000 whatever. That something old that no one knew about it. Because DHS stand is he is a criminal illegal alien. That's their stand. Even though he passed real ID to get his citizenship. This was a hit job by ICE. They want to get rid of him. And this assistant superintendent, which I reached out to a couple of people I asked, or get close to the area, they told me he's MAGA. And they think that's tied to that. They got rid of him, they put that other guy in charge. They can go to the schools now and start picking up children like they want.
Yeah, and prior to this administration, I believe it was hospitals, churches, and schools, and maybe even daycare centers, were all exempt from immigration enforcement activities. ICE was not allowed to go in by DOJ policy, or not DOJ, Homeland Security policy, I believe. And this administration said, fuck that, we're going wherever we want. And we're going to
So
enforce in schools. We're
so
going to
here comes, here's the thing then. Trump has asked the Supreme Court to get rid of, to adapt their interpretation of birthright citizenship.
I don't think they will.
Something that precedent has been set. But here's the thing. You read, because you brought it up earlier, and I read the Daily Beast article about Clarence Thomas and precedent. The six do not care about the Constitution. The six think they're the Constitution. It's a good bet they may change that interpretation, and then all bets are off at that point.
I think though there's a couple things in which I think they are not going to side with Donald Trump on, and I think birthright citizenship is one because of the way it is phrased. Donald Trump wants such a dumb interpretation that it only applies to that birthright citizenship only applies to the children of slaves. Well, then how does somebody who looks like me get their citizenship without birthright citizenship? It's one of those things where it's such a slippery slope. I don't think they could, in good faith, and I know this Supreme Court doesn't do a lot of things in good faith, but I don't think they could twist it and could get to a way in which they justify it. The other one, I think, is this tariffs ruling that is going to be coming. They may try to give him a lot of latitude, but I think ultimately they will decide against Donald Trump on the tariffs, in part because in a lot of their rulings, they look okay, well, there's no wording here that specifically says we need to interpret it the way you want us to. That's what they did with Roe v. Wade. They said, well, the 14th Amendment doesn't say anything about abortions or privacy, So we can't interpret it that way. In the statute, Donald Trump keeps looking at for his justification for tariffs. The word tariff or any of the synonyms for the word tariff are not in the law he is pointing at all. And that's what the two lower courts have ruled on this. And I think that's why they end up siding against him on those issues. Even
So
this Supreme Court.
in the Constitution, tariffs or still financial falls into the legislative branch, not
Right.
the executive branch. The executive branch cannot set tariffs because it's financial, but because our legislative branch has given up and given in to Trump, they're not handling what they should handle. Mike Johnson said that that's his problem. We're not going to
Well,
handle it.
there was a bill passed in the 70s that did give the president some ability over foreign trade and to do things in an emergency situation. When Congress passed it, their rationale was it made sense for the president to be the one to singularly act rather than Congress because it's hard to get both houses of Congress to agree and to do anything quickly. And
But
that's
that's
what they did in
what
the
the
70s.
founding fathers didn't want that. That's why they
Right.
gave the House the purse.
But this was only limited abilities to do, and it was supposed to be only for actual emergency situations. It doesn't say anything about setting tariff rates permanently or anything that Donald Trump is trying to do. He's looking at it going, well, see, they gave me all this authority. And he just takes a wide view of it. And it's that justification isn't there for what he wants to do with it. But he wants them to grant him that. And I don't think they will. Like you said, the founding fathers separated the powers for a reason. We have three equal branches for a reason. They did not want a king. They did not want to have one person making all the decisions. That's why the power of the purse rests specifically with the House. The power of confirmation rests with the Senate, etc. They divided things on purpose.
So Eric, I think I got a good question for you
I
because
might have a good answer.
it says analytical. Analytical means that you are a thinker, correct?
I try to be.
There we go. So the last couple of days, I've been seeing on the news that Trump is trying to get back hundreds and hundreds of people that were doged, right? We've heard that before, but now it's back in the forefront. There are some people that we really need back. He's trying to get them back. Second thing, he really wants to shut down so they can just fire as opposed to furlough hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. What the fuck is going on, bro?
Again, this is how he runs his businesses. He doesn't have good business sense. He doesn't know what the fuck is going on. He doesn't know what way is up when it comes to doing anything smart. What Doge did when they went into all of these places is they just fired. They fired people left, right, and center. They didn't care what your job was, what your training was, what your specialty was, etc. It's just, oh, well, clearly we have too many workers, so we are going to get rid of them. And then they realize, oh shit, we fucked up. Now we got to bring those same people back and try to bring them back because, hey, there's only like a handful of people in the country, in some cases, that have these specialized talents.
Like the head of the nuclear facility, like that guy?
Exactly. People who are trained to maintain nuclear material. That's not something you could hire. I have no training in that. And you couldn't hire me to do that job and give me on-the-job training enough to make me do it competently. You can't do it.
No.
Trump is doing it because he wants to show, well, two reasons. Epstein, that's one. Two, he wants to force the Democrats, knowing how Chuck Schumer thinks, to panic.
Yep.
Oh my God, if we don't cut a deal with him or give him what he wants, well, the people will get fired. That's Chuck Schumer. That's one. That's the other thing too. He wants to see the resolve.
Yeah,
He's
but I don't remember if it was Schumer or if it was Hakeem Jeffries. One of the two came out and said, "Doesn't matter. Those firings will get overturned in the courts." And
here's something to consider because we're talking analytical and politics. One of the When I'm hearing one of the litmus tests for a lot of Senate candidates, Democratic side, is the question is, do you support Chuck Schumer as still Senate leader of the Democrats? And the majority of people running for Senate in the Democratic side do not. And that's
good,
what people are leaning toward. Chuck Schumer's days are numbered in the
good.
Senate.
I mean,
Is
I
it,
thought Chuck
so
Schumer was
why?
going to be a stronger leader when we got the Senate in 2000 or 2020. I thought he was going to be a better majority leader. He wasn't. He proved pretty ineffective. Um, and now that should be a litmus test. We need a different leader in the Senate, preferably somebody younger. And I hate to say it, I thought Hakeem Jeffries was going to do a much better job uh, as in leadership when Pelosi said she wasn't going to run for leadership anymore. But she's still puppet stringing him along. We need
Yep.
somebody else as Speaker of the House if we get the House.
Well, I'm going to be glad when Pelosi's going to get primaried in San Francisco. There is no way that she's going to get out of that primary at her, what, 83 now? What the hell is she?
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's ridiculous.
Her birth
It's time to
certificate's
go.
expired.
Yeah, pretty much, Jay. And the thing, too, is like, I mean, she was friends with Dianne Feinstein. We saw what happened with Feinstein. They
Yes.
asked her 6 years before to retire. I mean, it's not like the U.S. that the Senate seat in California is going to go Republican ever,
Well,
but she wouldn't do it because they hang on the power.
well,
Well,
that's
think
what
about this, guys. Think about this. We talk a lot about the right losing their seats and being primaried and all of that. But we don't put enough emphasis on our own people like Jeffries and hell, you just mentioned Pelosi and a lot of, and these older ones. So who are we going to, who's going to replace them? You know
Well,
what I'm
There are
saying?
candidates out there running now. There are a lot of people running. There's one already set in for running against Pelosi in San Francisco. Hell, there's someone running for King Jeffrey's seat in New York, and because he's pointing out that Jeffries refuses to support Mondani, and he's making a point of it.
well, here's what I said about Pelosi in San Francisco. It's not like we just said. It's not like that seat would go red, no matter who ran. You can't tell me they couldn't find a Democrat to run for that seat in San Francisco. It's not like you are dealing with a oh God, I just lost his name.
Joe
The
Manchin.
dipshit. Yeah, you know exactly who I was thinking of. The dipshit from West Virginia, Joe Manchin, the only Democrat who could win in red West Virginia. That's different. Okay, then you support him because he can win and he's proven he can win. You accept the help where you can get it. Nancy Pelosi's seat is not that. That seat will go blue no matter who is there. Same, I think, with Hakeem Jeffries' seat. It's safe. They need to go with younger people. We need to get some of these people out. Um, and there's a better chance, especially if some of these seats flip. I think Iowa could be in play. We talked
Yeah.
earlier about the governor here. With Kim Reynolds not running for reelection, the governorship can flip. Now, Joni Ernst is not running for Senate. That's an open seat where you don't have an incumbent. It's going to be harder for Republicans to keep the seat when they don't have an incumbent. And things aren't, especially if the farmers are still struggling like they have been. And if they put the blame correctly on the administration, Democrats could flip that. Two of the four House seats could flip blue this next election.
Yeah.
it's entirely possible, but that's different than like a Pelosi seat, where Pelosi, her seat's safe. It's always going to go blue. I don't see any situation unless there comes out with an even farther left party after the Republican Party dies and the Democrats become the right wing. Any way that San Francisco doesn't go Democrat, she needs to back away.
Far left parties won't survive because they don't have any practicalities. They're like libertarians.
Well,
They
I don't
can't
mean
they
like
can't hold it together.
well, I don't mean like far left. I just mean farther left than like a solid party that is farther left than Democrats.
I think he means like social democrats,
Yeah,
like what
Yeah,
Europe has.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they
And kind
never
of like
win anything.
And I
and I
like what
think
Danny said in the comments. Danny says if they're affiliated with APAC, they need to go. Right. That seems to be the nail in the coffin these days, because these guys can't speak if they're with APAC. Even Jeffries was like, "Well, I mean, my average campaign is $28." I mean, he danced around that whole APAC situation and
His
crazy.
sort of community nickname is APAC Shakur. Like that should tell you all you need to know.
Exactly. And then another person in the comments had mentioned Melanie Stansberry, but Melanie Stansberry got caught up with the $7 million insider trading BS that she stumbled when she was talking. So she couldn't explain it, and I'm like, well, there she goes.
I'm not familiar with that one,
Oh,
but
I got something for Will really quick.
but
Will, I don't know if you saw the podcast where I was on with Mike and I cleared up the whole thing between you and us on the last live. I wanted to make it clear. I did not ever try. I did not ever want to downplay the ICE thing. I did not ever want you to think that I was trying to downplay how bad it is for you and people who look like you right now. What I was trying to say is, do not ever give up the language of the fight. And what
no,
it,
I
it kind of
agree. It was a bad day. Let's just call that was a bad day for
oh
everyone
no, I
that
believe
day.
me, I get it. What I wanted to clarify is I'm not ever giving up the language of the fight. I'm not a Latino man, okay? I'm a white guy living in California. I have it good. Does that mean I'm ever going to stop fighting because, oh, I can just coast on my laurels? No, because that would mean I would be giving up on you. And I'm never going to give up on you, brother. Never.
Appreciate. Yeah, it's scary because you see the videos, and ICE is basically the sad thing. And I made this comment, and again, movies. I saw Superman last week for the first time, and spoiler alert: when he turns himself into the federal government and they manhandle him, he asked the guys arresting him, "Where's my rights? When you're reading my rights, don't I get a trial?" He goes, "They said no, you're an alien. You don't get rights." Now the thing about it, the Constitution is clear. If you're on the United States soil, no matter what you are, you get the rights of any citizen of the United States. What that man said to Superman in a fictional film is what ICE agents say to anyone who gets arrested by them. I don't care if it's a protester. I don't care if someone is suspected to be illegal. They said it to your face. You don't have any rights. They don't
Absolutely.
Mirandarize anyone. They don't take them to court. There's no bail hearings. They are true, absolute secret police, and they're out of control. And they keep being out of control. I mean, they were shooting from the roof, Portland, pepper balls and rubber bullets, and people just standing there protesting. And that's what Trump calls war ravaged Portland. We need to bring those people to heal. We did this for Jimmy Kimmel. You sure as hell we can do this for ICE because
Right.
this is ridiculous.
So, Will, let me ask you this, because what you're just talking about is just brought something up in my head. And I'm pretty sure everybody on the panel and all 16 guests have seen this video of this ICE agent throwing that lady to the ground, grabbing her by her hair in a hallway. He gets
Oh,
he gets fired, right? And they say
as he
because
should.
right, as he should, but they said that was just a line too far. But how many videos have we seen of that? So why do you think
You know,
this one got fired instead of the other ones? Is it because it was a woman, or is it because that this one just captivated the American heart?
Yeah, it was captivating. It was one of those things that people took to fight. Now, I don't think he's be fired. I think he will be taken to another state and they'll throw a mask on him,
They
and he's
said
out
he's
there
already
again.
fired.
I don't believe that, Tucker. I don't. But you know what disturbs me though, and I'm going to bring it to you, T. You can answer this question for me, because I see Latinos and ICE agents. I get it because a lot of us think they're white. They do, so they think they're doing a good thing. But I'm watching one video where a guy is being held on the ground. He's screaming he's an American citizen. He's fighting. It got so bad when bystanders came up, one of the white ICE agents pulled out a weapon and was pointing at everyone to back off. But the two other people holding him down were two middle-aged black guys in their 40s and 50s. And I see a lot of older, middle-aged black men in ICE uniforms. What the hell? Because they should know better, shouldn't they?
They're
I
trying to
mean,
get
they
that
should
fifty
know
thousand
what.
dollar come up. That's not going to happen.
But dude, they should know better. They know what happens when police are hunting you. I grew up in the
Well,
knee
listen
with
though,
my mom, who was the
you
civil rights movement. I don't
you
get
just
that.
said it right there. You just said it. Police. The majority of these ICE guys are either ex-police or police that they coerced into joining ICE. And look at them; they're huge. These guys are huge. They're not your average guy like these black cats you're talking about. I saw two or three of them yesterday, and these guys look like they just stepped out of the gym. Right. So these are all ex-police or ex-military. They've seen those commercials. They see that 50,000 or that $75,000 bonus that they'll never ever get, and they figure, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to join. Right.
Yeah.
And we've got them on our side also. Right. Some of them are just the same way. Like, I don't care. My own brother is like that. Right. He refused to vote for Kamala Harris because she's a woman. He says, I will never have a woman tell me what to do. I'm like, that's what you prefacing your vote on?
Is he
He's like,
married?
oh, yeah. No, he's
I
been
hope not
divorced
anymore.
for years.
I figured. Thank you.
He's been divorced for years. He can't keep a woman because he's got that caveman mentality, right?
Well,
Yeah, women don't play that. Majority.
a couple things with that I was just thinking. What was the line from LBJ? If you can convince the poorest white man that he is better than an African American, you know they'll be on your side forever or something like that. That
You could pick his
applies.
pockets. In fact, he'll empty them out for you.
Yeah, but that applies to other
Other races,
other,
other
other demographics.
ethnicities.
Demographics exactly. If you can convince the African Americans that they're better than Latinos, they'll do the same thing. If you can convince legal resident Latinos that they're better than the ones that are trying to sneak over the border, again,
Yeah.
there is a group of them that
I
are
guess.
like that. It's
I
weird,
mean, I
but
guess because you see the majority of these ICE agents are let's face it, they're white supremacists. They just took every militia member, and they're getting paid for something they would do for nothing anyway. And the thing about it is, and again, they're not true officers when you get guys anyone's seen me to look like me standing around with vests that look like bras on them. If you were like $3 trying to be an officer, you got issues, dude.
Right?
I
In the
mean,
beginning,
that's
it was like that, but now I think they noticed that, and they still have them, but they're going after the beefier ones now to make them look good. Kind of like this warrior ethos bullshit, where he summoned all the generals there just so it could look like he's
okay.
having an important meeting.
T, you're the vet, so I'm going to ask you this question. Okay, let me tell you a quick story. My brother worked as a defense contractor in the early to mid '90s at Edwards Air Force Base. Okay, and I was talking to him, and he goes, I got to go. I got to get into the base at 7 in the morning. I go, why? He goes, because we have a general coming in from D.C. and we have to be all spick and span. So you know that command field officers have egos. Generals have egos. Admirals have egos. He just dragged 800 egos into a Virginia meeting in Quantico. And this man is going to give them a lecture. Tell me, T, how's that going to go?
Well, I can tell you how it's going already. They're already mocking him and laughing at him, and they're leaking everything that they can the best way they can. How do you think we know about the warrior ethos and all this other bull crap? Because they don't have any respect for this dude, right? They have absolute zero respect for him. They're only going because they have to, right? It's an order. They have to obey that order. And that's the reason why they're going. And they're going to have
If
months on
they,
American citizens dying, basically.
so my question then, if this is worst case scenario, and he sits there in a meeting with them and says, okay, it's Trump or the Constitution, and you have to choose Trump, and they say no, how bad could that get? I
It's
mean,
going to
within
look like
rank and
it did.
files and
Yep.
everything.
It's going to look exactly like it did when Netanyahu was giving his speech and everybody got up and walked out. That's what it's going to look like. And they're going to have to figure that shit out.
That was some of the funniest shit in the world, I gotta say. Watching
Yeah,
that fucking war criminal get just like everybody's like, "Fuck you, we're out of here."
I'm out. See you. Yeah, no different with Hexet. You look, I'm not getting a USCMJ because of you, which is uniform code of military justice. I'm not going down that road because you're a dickhead, right? I don't pledge allegiance to a dictator. I don't pledge allegiance to a person. I pledge allegiance to the oath, the Constitution of the United States. We defend from foreign terrorists, from either foreign or domestic, whatever, right? I'm not. Take me.
So this
Article
guy,
15, send me to the gallows. I'm done. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
so I don't get why he thinks that dragging all those guys out there is going to make them love him.
We
This
don't love him.
is,
Because he doesn't know any better.
He thinks we love him. And we're only, well, I keep saying we, and they're only going because they were ordered to, right? They don't love that dude. They don't have any respect for that dude. Did you see when the last head of state left, when they lined the hallways clapping for him and patting him on the back? That's
yeah,
how we appreciate you. This guy, they despise this dickhead. He's a drunk.
it,
He's a. I was on Twitter earlier and saw all of his tattoos and how people were pointing out what his tattoos meant. And I'm thinking to myself, this is insane that this guy is at the head of Warrior.
and the thing about it too, it's like he's just running it like he's in Fox News. The whole thing about Wounded Knee. Oh, okay, dude, do you understand? Wounded Knee was the precursor to My Lai. Okay, it's the same thing, and you want to honor those guys. I mean, why don't you just piss everyone off at the same time? That's not your job as Secretary of Defense.
No.
I thought your job as Secretary of Defense is to is work up defense of the country, not backtrack on shit.
Well, the way I understood it wasn't that he was trying to honor the soldiers at Wounded Knee. It's that he wasn't going to strip the honors already given, which you can argue were they deserved, probably, possibly not, etc. But I think and I'm not trying to defend him by any means, but I don't think he was trying to do any new honoring. I think it was just he didn't want to retroactively strip them, which, again, don't know, but that's how it seemed to me.
Right. Well, we used to say, and you probably still hear it, I got your six. I got your six, meaning I got your back, right?
Right.
Right.
But
Yes, sir.
there was another one in there. I got your five. I got your five, meaning, hey, you're on your own, bud. Fuck you. You're on your own. I guarantee you, they got
Yeah.
his five right now.
I guess. Yeah. I guess my point is, it's not something you should bring up as Secretary of Defense. You got other things to worry
No.
about, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Normally.
He has something else. Now I think there was a commission though on it started by the Biden administration that was looking at retroactively taking away those medals from the soldiers at Wounded Knee. And I think they came out now that he's in charge. He said, "Well, we're closing that. We're not doing anything with it." I think that was the whole point of what he was trying to say.
Yes.
But of course, this guy is a drunken buffoon. He's a DUI hire, and it doesn't come off right because he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
I was going to say he can't put his words together correctly.
Yeah.
Or he doesn't
Like
have a
Donald Trump.
staff that can put his words together correctly.
same thing at this point. Nobody competent wants to be around him.
And also, it's from a security standpoint. You have 800 high-level commanders of the United States military at one location. I don't know. That's like putting a target on it. Honestly, if someone wanted to do something, that'd be a disaster.
You hit the nail on the head. When we were in the Gulf, right? We had to take our insignia off. That way they didn't know who was higher ranking. We were all the same. You call out this meeting and put them all in one spot and like, yep, here they are. I mean, come on, it's like the red side of a blue barn at this point.
Yeah. Well, one thought with what Will just said that popped into my head was you say it's like painting a target. Donald Trump before has said when he was talking to Zelensky about how their constitution allows for no elections during wartime. Well, he's like, oh, so you mean when 28 comes around, if we're in a war, I can stay? You could see he publicly said it. The wheels were turning. It wouldn't surprise me if he's not trying to set up a high-level target, hoping that maybe some country is dumb enough to try something that would give him the excuse.
Or we're dumb enough to try something. Keep your eye on Venezuela. I heard he's ready to put boots on the ground there.
Why? They're not the source of drug. They're not where drugs come in or come out.
It's an excuse.
No, let me tell you why. This is what I heard. I can't. I verified it twice. I always try to verify my stories 3 times, but this one I verified twice. So he has a hotel there. No, this is a Puerto. Yeah, no, this. God,
I guess.
No, that's Panama. My bad. That's Panama. All right. So the whole Panama thing. The reason why he was pissy with Panama, he had a hotel in Panama. He had it set up. Couldn't pay his bills. Panama government got pissed off. They took his name off. So then a bunch of people start buying up the properties. And then next thing you know, they were calling it MAGA Narco or some shit like that. So he's upset that his tower got taken from him. And these people bought it and drug lords and blah, blah, blah. So he wants it back. This guy is a big, whiny crybaby.
Well, part of that though was not only did they take his property, it wasn't that he didn't pay his it was that he didn't pay his bill, but it wasn't like he wasn't paying his power bill or something like that. He didn't pay his damn taxes. Now, I mean, which tell me if you've heard this one before.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh, but when you said he didn't pay his taxes, that just brought up the whole 2016 show your taxes, whatever.
Yeah, well, remember when they tried dragging him through the mud here about his taxes, and he said, I'm not releasing my taxes, and oh, you're saying I didn't pay my taxes? Well, that makes me smart for not paying my taxes. Good night, Will. Since Will's calling it a night, I'm going to let everybody know, and I'll remind you again when I end the live. This live, including everything that happens between, from the beginning up, will be up over on YouTube after it's done, depending on how long it takes me to get it downloaded from TikTok, etc. But it will be up over on YouTube, and the audio will be available over on Spotify.
Sweet.
Linktree over in my bio to get you to both of those places.
Since Will is heading out, I wanted to put out something that I meant to say to him, and I wish I'd had a little bit more time to say it, which is that if you ever feel like Will sometimes and that it's a bad day and things have gotten you down, okay. When I was in grade school, I was a wreck. I was scared of everything. I was scared of fucking Disney movies, for crying out loud. My imagination was so overactive. I thought games, movies, everything, I thought that was all real. So I was scared of everything. And so I got bullied a lot, naturally. And love this guy. I forget his name. It's been over like 13 years since I've seen him, but he taught me to stand up for myself. And the thing he told me, and I'll never forget this as long as I live, that always stuck with me is that guy hits you in the face, expecting you to cry or some other reaction. Don't give him that reaction. Don't give him what he wants. Just start planning the hit you're going to give him back to wipe that fucking smirk off his face.
Yeah, not bad advice. And I think when it comes to transferring that idea into politics, we're already doing that with this administration. He's not going to see the loss that is coming his way in the midterms. He is going to get absolutely destroyed in these midterms. Trump will. He's going to lose the House. He's going to lose the Senate. And I've said this on the Boomers podcast before. I'm going to say it again. Here's one of the things I think could happen. It's a possible outcome is that in the time between the midterm election after the races have been called and January 3rd, 2027, when the new Congress takes over, after Republicans have gotten their ass kicked and a bunch of them will not have the seat to return to, there is a chance that a big chunk of them say, fuck that guy in the White House, we need to reset our party going into 28 or we're going to get destroyed again. And they turn on Donald Trump.
They're saying it now, Eric. Did you see that tweet? I'm sorry, the text that was leaked from JD Vance, right? Where he was talking about Trump. And this thing was long as shit. I should have screen copied it. But he was talking to one of the cabinet members, and he was basically saying, "Is this guy a liability? Are we just putting up with him because he's carrying the party at this point? But or is he just political? I can't say that S side. You know what I mean? So he was basically saying, get rid of him, just let him go, and we'll figure it out."
Then that's the thing. I said from almost the beginning that those conversations were going to be happening behind closed doors. And now we're getting leaks about them happening. The discussions are going on. And if they don't make the move before the midterms, deciding that cutting their ties with Donald Trump may protect their chances to keep one or both chambers of Congress, they will cut ties with him after, more than likely, to set up for 28, because they don't want to run the risk of setting up the time frame of 29 to 31, having a Democrat in the White House with supermajorities in the House and Senate.
Right, because the text basically says, hey, listen, we've already lost the midterms. It's not here yet. They see what we're seeing. All these seats that are taken by these small people that should not have won. Like there was one who won 17 points. That was 12 points more than Kamala won. That was insane. They're seeing the writing on the wall. They know what's coming. They just don't verbalize it vocally, right? They know it's out there. So he's saying, we've lost 28. He's baggage. We've got what we wanted. Now, when do we get rid of him? When is it the right time to just push him aside?
I mean, their best play, again, something I've said when I'm over on the Rational Boomer podcast, the best play for Republicans would be if that Big Mac happens to take him out and, they can move on and they don't have to make the move.
Right.
Because honestly, what JD Vance, what would be best for Vance, not that I'm trying to strategize for Republicans necessarily, but his best chance at winning in 28 would come potentially with Donald Trump passing naturally. Is probably the very best chance he has. And not that it's a very high chance.
Passing away or passing gas?
Second would be if Democrats win the midterms and they have the votes, they lead the effort to remove Donald Trump. Vance could garner some sympathy with MAGA potentially to carry on the fight. That's an entire possibility. But if Republicans are the ones who initiate, especially if it is led by the Congress and JD Vance to remove Trump, he is signified to MAGA that he is against their Lord and Savior. And he won't win in 28 regardless. I don't think he can win in 28 no matter what. But though that was just the best ways he could potentially win, he'd have to also do something really great to fix the economy in between here and there.
Oh, you
Oh yeah,
mean
no, he ain't winning that.
besides lying and saying that, hey, everything's great, look at these new reports. I'm at
He
a
couldn't.
57% approval rating.
Yeah, he would have to come in, reverse all of Donald Trump's policies, fix everything, and basically run on a Democrat style, run that administration up until election on Democratic policies, which would fix everything. And that'd be the only way he'd have a chance. I don't think he's smart enough to do that.
No.
No, I call this guy Vlyliner Futon because, obviously he's dumb, he's evil, the eyeliner thing, and I'm gonna be honest, I like the name that they gave Futons. It's honest. They have FU right in the name.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
if somebody has a if you're having a guest in your house and you have a futon bed in the spare room, they won't be staying long.
Right. Well, think about this though, Eric. You've got your first African American mayor in Oklahoma, right? Unheard
I
of.
love that. That impressed me.
Unheard of, right? And that was one of those go quietly through the night kind of things. And all of these Democrats are winning these special elections, even Mamdani, like all these, and they're very, very quiet about it. And then he has to put out this fictitious, my approval rating is at 57%. All of this shit. They know that they're losing. They know it.
He forgot the zero at the start.
Exactly.
0.57.
And then he shoots himself in the foot with these prescription drugs. Hey, I'm going to give it 15% off or 1,500% off. And then just 2 days ago, well, actually, I'm going to put 100% tariff on them. My bad. Right? It doesn't make any sense to me.
He believes that by putting 100% tariff, it's going to lead to a 1,500% price decrease because his brain is mush.
It's got to be, Eric, at this point. And mine is turning to mush, trying to figure this shit out.
I mean, they prop him up with a combination of whatever. I'm not even sure what they're giving him at this point. They prop him up so he's good in short bursts, 2 to 3 hours at most, and then he's mush the rest of the time. And then they can barely keep him coherent, even for him. He says all this stupid shit. I just hope what the Democrats need to do when they get the House back in the midterms is they need to put the same pressure on Republicans and in this administration that they tried to put on Joe Biden and the Biden administration about Biden's health. Calling people in, having hearings. How did you know he was impaired? Did you know he was hopped up on all of this? Keep that pressure up, because if you can keep that narrative going, it's going to embarrass DJT to no end, and he'll make even more mistakes, and it'll just continue that spiral to the point where Republicans will have no choice but to walk away from him if they haven't by then.
Okay, so you know what I find fascinating, Eric? I find fascinating one word. It's bubble, right? Bubble. A simple word. Kids go outside, they blow bubbles, they have a great time, sun shining, and bubbles are floating through the air, right?
Right.
Every time somebody asks Trump a serious question, he says, "Oh, I haven't heard that." And you can tell he's being genuine. "Oh, I haven't heard that. I haven't heard that." They're keeping him in a bubble, letting him know that everything is sugar and candy canes and sweet. There's nothing going on outside of these four walls. And sir, you are the best ever. When in reality, it's not.
It reminds me, now again, I don't know if this is 100% true, but one of the things I remember learning about the fall of Japan after World War II was that when Japan actually fell and they were talking to the emperor afterward, he didn't know how bad the war was actually going prior to the dropping of the 2 bombs on Japan. Because he would ask, "How's the war going?" And the emperor would say, he would say that, and they would say, "Oh, it's going great. Everything's fine. We're winning. We're doing great." No clue. That was one of the stories you heard coming out of World War II, at least the way I heard it. Now, if that's true, that's similar to what's going on here. They're not telling him the negative. They're not telling him any of what's going on. He's in a very limited bubble, like you just said. And if he gets any pushback from anybody, it shocks him because he thinks he's doing great. He only hears good things. He only hears positive praise. You're treating him like a 3-year-old who is going to go into an absolute meltdown over anything. It's ridiculous.
That's my entire
The
point.
president.
That's my entire point. Is that you can isolate him inside that bubble all you want, but when reality kicks in, there's going to be a world of problems. And let me give you one example of that. Right. So he got rid of his special prosecutor because he refused to indict Comey.
Yep.
And he said, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to indict Letitia James either because there's no there. So he brings in this woman who was an insurance attorney. And she met him one time and she was wearing a suit on the golf course. He says, who is that woman in the suit? Oh, that's some private attorney, whatever. Put her on my team. So she was one of his personal lawyers. So now she's ahead of that stuff, right? She is the head lawyer. Comey had to be prosecuted. He had to be indicted this week because time was running out. So with her being the head, she's got 180 or 200 people underneath her that she can say, here's the files, go indict them. Every one of them said no, she had to do it herself, right? They made her go out and do it herself. She's up against the big boys at this point now. She's going to lose, like TJ said, right? She's going to lose it. But
He's going to lose this case.
right. But the point is, you got all those lawyers who don't live inside that bubble. That's my point. Is they know, okay, when reality sets in, there's nothing there. I'm not doing this shit just to appease his fat ass. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's what drives me insane, Eric, day to day, is that you have people like us who are rational thinkers. And that's why I follow Boomer, because his title, Rational Boomer. I rationalize everything out. I'm an analytical thinker. And then I get somebody who tells me the sky is green when I'm looking at it and it's blue. Or as Judge Judy says, and I hate to minimize your life to Judge Judy, but she says, don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Ain't that some irony? Because isn't Judge Judy like a big time Trump humper?
Well, she was. That's, you know what? I'm so glad you said that. So many people were until now they're finding out. And they're like, what the fuck? This is not what I thought it was going to be. You know what I mean?
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, gee, you think we've been warning you and warning you and warning you and warning you, and you just stuck your hands in your ears, running around, la 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 la. You know what these people feel like to me? All right, I'm gonna go full nerd for a second, and you're gonna have to forgive me, but if anyone here has heard of a game called Team Fortress 2, there is a character in there called the Pyro, who is the most brutal, cold-hearted, like war criminal. Like, he wears an asbestos-lined suit, he has a gas mask on, he carries a flamethrower, he uses like a hatchet. Like, this guy is like, all the other classes are afraid of him, and this is how he looks on the outside. And on the inside, he lives in candy la la land, and his flamethrower is like a trumpet thing that blows rainbow bubbles, and all the enemies are winged babies that he gives lollipops to, when in reality he's cutting them down with a hatchet. Like, it's bonkers. It's absurd.
Yeah.
Eric, let me tell you a quick story. Here's why people are changing their mind. Because we were promised that ICE was going to go after the hardened criminals, the drug dealers, the rapists, the murderers. There was a video, I think it was 3 days ago, where they had a 5-year-old girl. It's like 3 ICE agents surrounding her, would not let her move because they were trying to drag her parents out of the house, holding her captive until her parents come out of the house to save her, and then they snatch her parents and take them away. People are seeing that shit, and they're like, "Hey, wait a minute. This is not, you know."
Yeah. When you talk about people breaking from the cult, there's a guy down the street from about 3 blocks away, and this is a callback to a previous episode of The Rational Boomer. I talked about it. He had like a 6 foot tall tree that he cut at like 6 foot up, carved Trump into the tree, painted the Trump blue, painted the rest of the tree red, and left it there. It had been there ever since. That had been there for 3 or 4 years now. Drove by just the other day, and tree stump's gone. The tree, it's cut down to an actual normal stump level. It's gone. At first I noticed it was gone. I'm like, what the fuck? Then I noticed there's a for sale sign on his yard. Realized that, and I don't know the guy personally. I know nothing about the guy. I've never talked to him. I couldn't pick him out of a crowd. I've driven past this property for so long, and I know it's a dude because I've seen him outside a couple of times.
Well, yeah, wave to him, whatever. Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
I'd wave something else at him.
Usually I don't have enough time because it's like, I'm usually rushing to get somewhere because I'm usually running behind, but that's another story. But anyway, either he realized that he couldn't sell the property with the Trump log in his yard, or his realtor convinced him that, hey, you're going to get a bigger offer without that there. It's going to cost
Take
you
that shit down.
So he took it down. The only other thing I can think of is that they took it down to take it with them. Which is,
I don't think he took it with him, Eric. I don't think he took it with him, to be honest with you.
Well, they're still living there from what I can tell.
Right.
House hasn't sold yet.
So does he have, let me ask you this, does he have a wood-burning fireplace?
No idea. Never been inside.
You'd think with all the hot air coming out of that place.
But he also used to fly every day Trump 2024, Trump 2020, FJB, those kind of flags. Haven't seen one over his place in months.
Exactly. There's a neighbor of mine who just bought a 5-acre parcel coming into our subdivision. And when he first bought it, the first thing he did was raise the American flag, and then underneath it was a Trump flag, right? About 3 months later, after looking at that stupid Trump flag, you saw that they were laying out the foundation for a basement. The very next day, Trump enacted his tariffs. Well, guess what? That flag came down and it has not gone up because I know why. I haven't asked him, but everything doubled or maybe quadrupled when he started to build his house and he got duped by Trump. So he took that fucking flag down and it is not there. And the new house is up, but I'm sure it cost him maybe 100 or 200,000 more than he originally thought he was going to spend on it. And I love that for him.
Yeah, good. Obviously he's got enough money to buy you said 5-acre?
5 acres, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's still going to be a significant chunk of change, but wasn't his entire budget or anything like that. Now you increase the price of what I would look at buying by 100 or 200,000. It's now out of my price range. I'm done. So I'm taking this stupid Trump flag down because I feel bamboozled, and that flag has not flown since. Yeah.
But you know what? Once they start the foundation, you're in it. You've signed that contract, and sorry, sir, but we had some tariff increases, and this is what you got to pay. So he's shitty right now. He is not happy.
I'm sorry I have to do this to you, Eric, but my local Goodwill put out an ad recently. They think they found your pants.
Nice.
My neighbor has a life-size Trump cutout in the garage, and women in the neighborhood take social. I'm so sorry. Good.
Yeah.
That would be like like cows taking selfies with like a cardboard cut out of a butcher. Like, ugh.
No.
That's just, you know what? And I knew I was going to bed tonight feeling good about myself. And, I finally got to join one of Analyticaliowan's lives. And then that image just popped in my head.
No. Like,
Thanks, Bev.
I don't know what it is with people on the right that are so obsessed with this guy, other than they viewed him as one of the last big revivals of their party. Like prior to Donald Trump, it looked like the Republican Party was dying.
Well, you know what? Think about this.
It still is. It still is. Once all this is over, it's still gonna be.
Well, yeah, but he temporarily saved it and revived it when it was dying under with the election of Obama.
All right. So real quick, this is how my brain works. So let's take the politics out of it. And before Trump even, was even political, any of that stuff, right? He's got, his name everywhere. He's got casinos. We didn't give a shit if they went bankrupt because we saw him dancing on videos with Drake and Snoop Dogg, and Nelly mentioned him, Donald Trump let me in. He was a celebrity and everybody loved him, right?
Could care less, but okay.
Exactly. But then when he decided to bring his celebrity into the politics is when shit started going bad. You know what I mean? He should have stayed a celebrity and never, ever touched politics.
I didn't he do it to try to save his show,
He did everything to save his show.
Yeah. Well,
which never should have existed in the first place, by the way.
Well, I've said it before. He fell ass backwards into the presidency. He ran in 2016. It was a grift, like everything with Donald Trump.
Still is, sir.
Well, but somebody told him, you can run, you'll put up a campaign, Jeb Bush is going to be the nominee, you're not going to win. So you go out, you put a good fight, you hold these rallies, you say some of this shit, and you can collect all these campaign donations, and then when you have to end your campaign because Jeb Bush gets the nomination, you get to pocket the money.
Right.
Just play the part. Play the part like and I think he went, free money? Sure. And he tried. And then you get, because Republicans were so divided and they were trying to push Jeb Bush as the face of their party, and we didn't want to go back to a Bush, not after George W. and George H.W., and the other candidates weren't that great, but there wasn't anybody else besides Jeb Bush, I think, that was strong enough.
Mitt Romney twice.
Started getting.
How many times did Romney try? Twice?
Yeah. But
I think in 08 he didn't make it past the primary, and then in 2012 he got bodied by Barack Obama. I mean, it was not close. He got bodied.
Right. But like I said, he tried twice. Nobody was strong enough. Then here comes this dickhead Trump.
But even then, he wasn't winning the primaries when they had 8 people in the primaries. He wasn't winning them by landslides, but he was winning them by enough that he was racking up way more delegates than anybody else, just step by step, because he brought his base, that 20-30% of Republicans, out, and they were there to vote for him, where the rest of the Republican Party was divided amongst the other viable, legitimate candidates. And he fell ass backwards into the nomination. And then because the Democrats were too dumb and ran the one candidate that couldn't beat Donald Trump in 2016, Hillary Clinton, she had so much baggage on her, even going into the Democratic primary. She never should have been the nominee.
Do you remember what they said in Wisconsin about her? They said, well, if she'd ever visited us, we probably would have voted for her, but she was too arrogant to even come here.
Well, that was part of it, but you had all of the negative BS that they had on her that they could attack her with. She had so much, and she herself didn't help with all that negative BS around it, that she paved the way for Donald Trump to win.
And I'll be honest, I didn't think there was any way she was going to lose. I thought
Neither
she was
did
going to
I.
win because Donald Trump was such a dipshit of a candidate and such a horrendous candidate. I thought there was no way she could lose. But apparently, a lot of people thought like me and thought there was no way she could lose and either voted for Donald Trump, voted third party, or didn't vote for her and voted down ballot, thinking that, she was still going to cakewalk into it. And then you had the Bernie bros that refused to vote for her because they thought Bernie should have gotten the nomination over Hillary Clinton.
Exactly.
I
If
can't
Bernie
stand
would've-
those fucking people.
But if Bernie would have gotten the nomination over Clinton, you would have had a landslide victory, probably bigger than Obama winning.
Yeah, but they hung their hat on the basket of deplorables, right? That's the worst thing they ever heard. Oh my God, she said we were deplorable. Listen to what he says now. I hate my political enemies. Blah 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 blah.
He was right. She was right.
And to answer, do not go gently. Yes, you are correct. They are planning to have this stupid WWE bullcrap on the White House freaking lawn.
Yeah.
Embarrassment to us all.
There's somebody in chat named Vetter who's saying, Lamau, what's the Democrats' favorable rating? You're delusional. Do you guys mind if I go rabid dog on this guy?
You don't have to because
He's
gone.
already been blocked.
Yeah, he's gone. Yeah, you don't have to. Yeah.
He was blocked within seconds of him making that comment.
Well, I saw him make the comment. I saw Eric's face, and I knew he was gone.
Well,
He
I
was
was
gone.
I was gonna say, Democrats winning 9 out of 10 special elections. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Sorry, can't hear you over all that winning.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's gone. He can't hear you. But
Yeah,
yes,
I think that's one of the reasons Mike and I have been able to survive the new TikTok community guidelines. I've gotten, while they might be hiding my content, as evident by the 11 people in the room, they're not, they don't hit me with community guidelines violations, in part because I block all the Trump-fucks, and they don't see my content to report me.
right. And there's nothing wrong with that because whether you have 1, 11, or 187, as long as your message gets out and resonates with one person, you did your job.
Yep. Well, on that note, I have been going for about an hour 45. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up.
I got one last thing to say.
Go for it.
To anyone in the comments who is feeling downhearted or is having a bad day and assumes that it's all over, we're cooked, we're screwed, there's nothing we can do, we're all done. Don't think that way. Not just because it's pointless and we're still winning this because we're winning. It just doesn't look like it because the mainstream media doesn't report on it. Always remember, if you give up, you're giving up on people like Will, people like me, because I'm autistic. I got ADHD. RFK Jr. may send ICE to put me in one of his death camps. Who knows? But the point is, you do not give up. Stay in there. If nothing else, for Will. For Will, people. For Will.
Yep. And then I would just like to say, hey, Eric, this is the first time I've been on your live. I appreciate it. Well, your own personal live is what I meant.
Yeah.
So the next time you have one, just shoot me a quick text, and I'll be happy to join in. And I will tell you something about Trucker T. Nothing stops my football, but tonight your live stopped my football.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Another thing, same thing. The football game that you were coming back from when we were going to be on the show together. It was somebody out there. I believe it was Bill Cosby. God, I hate to reference that guy, but the point is, he said, when that man comes at you, don't run away from him. Hit him. And it's the same thing.
On that note,
Yep. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you guys for joining me. Thanks to Will, who was on earlier. And for those in the comments who are checking out, if you missed part of the live or you want to go back and catch it again for whatever reason, it will be up later tonight, early tomorrow over on YouTube, and the audio will be available over on Spotify, Analyticaliowan over on either one. Make sure you check me out over there. And if this app goes away, I'm not going to stop making my content. Or if this app goes ridiculously right because of the sale, same thing. You can still find me over on YouTube and Spotify. So check me out. And I plan to do more of these lives. It's been a while, but I'm hoping my schedule straightens out so I can actually do more where I, have more free time and I'm not just jumping in only on Mike's lives.
Yeah, exactly. Don't go looking for my content though, because I don't have any.
All right. I will catch all of you the next time I go live.